I was fascinated by the myth of Dracula when I was a kid, the dark side of all human nature itself.
He comes to you in the night, the dark stranger.
He's mysterious and he's dangerous. He is unlike any man.
This very masculine force that's kind of exciting and wild.
It's like sex, I don't know, it's like orgasmic. It's a strange kind of tingle.
This thing with Dracula is something completely different. It's uncontrollable.
I hate Dracula. I hate horror movies.
There's something weird about having been bitten in the neck.
Plunging their teeth into your neck, was really kind of gruesome.
It's supposed to be the biggest high going.
I remember as a kid, loving horror films, and in particular Dracula.
Dracula, blood, biting, the dark, the unknown, obsession, domination.
He's very attractive in that dangerous way.
And there's something very erotic about that. Very sexual.
He is the embodiment of evil. He's Lucifer. He's Mephistopheles. He is like the devil, isn't he? He's the devil.
And it's unusual. I mean, we know what our biggest problem is. Our biggest problem is, why did they go to all this trouble to make that same story again? We've seen all this stuff. So what's our answer? Our answer is, you've never seen it acted with this kind of emotional intensity. And we have very fine actor Gary Oldman as Dracula, Winona Ryder, who's really lovely and like a Snow White almost, for Mina. Then we have Keanu Reeves as Harker, kind of pipe-smoking, young, good-looking guy. And then, of course, Dr. Van Helsing would be Anthony Hopkins, who's going to be as evil as Dracula. It's really just the ideas that's the hard part. My father had a slogan he always used to tell us, and it's a good slogan. He says, steal from the best. So, I made this film with the guidance of cinema history. Nosferatu probably is the greatest film made on the Dracula story. It's a masterpiece, a powerful film, that really probed the depth of the strange part of us that's obsessed with vampires.
The image I can't get away from is Bela Lugosi. I think he was really sort of onto something. It's in our genes, isn't it? It's like our heritage or something.
There have been 200 feature films made on Dracula, and I've been the president of the Count Dracula Society for 32 years, and I haven't seen every one of them. I haven't seen all 200.
All of the Dracula films that I had ever seen were paled, literally, when you compared them to what Bram Stoker wrote in 1897. It wasn't there. Bram Stoker is this sort of stodgy, stiff purser and stage manager at the Lyceum Theater. And he writes this extraordinarily erotic, oral, wet, feverish novel that people avoided like the plague. Every time I would bring up Dracula, they would go, oh no, it's been done 100 times. I would say, read the book. Nobody reads the book in this town. Nobody.
Van Helsing broke the silence by asking Arthur.
Answer me, oh my friend. Am I to proceed in my work?
Arthur threw himself on his knees and hid his face in his hands as he answered.
Not for the wide world. Like
we were up in Napa where we started rehearsing at his home, on this big sound stage. And he said, I want us to read the whole book together, loud. It took 2 days. And he said, because I want us to absorb, all of us to absorb the book. It was a marathon to read that book.
Well, I told everyone after we read the book, I said, if anyone can see something from the book that's not in the script that you think it ought to be, please send to me and we'll put out a script that has it all in. So they all did. And of course, they all made their parts 3 times bigger. Let's stop the presses.
Stop. We don't have to change it. We don't have to print it out.
No, but we should. When you have all these scenes, every time we pin it down, it's another nail out of my coffin.
Captain Coppola. What went on? I don't know. We were all invited up there, most of the cast, and we had rehearsals in the morning. There was a structure, and at night we had dinner. It was some of the best days of my life. I was, with some of the greatest actor people I've ever met, so.
all people have memories together, and the cast just comes, they don't have any memories together. So I try to give them as many sensual memories, eating together, having fun together, playing together.
I don't like family atmosphere. It makes me very uneasy. I've got an aversion to families. I used to have to get out as soon as rehearsal was over, because I've never had a family. I've always been on the road. So I don't like being cooped up. But that was Francis's way of getting us together.
Francis gave everybody sort of little tasks, you know, to get to their character. He'd send them off to sort of like do sort of balloon bonding, and Keanu would go and ride horses. And I said, what do? I'm 400 years old and I'm dead. So I stole from the historical figure.
The true historical Dracula was a knight sworn to protect the cross of Christ and the church in the 15th century. A man who was a charismatic hero to his people. He later turned into a bloody monster.
I remember going to the Encyclopedia Britannica as a kid, which we had in our home, and looked up Dracula and went and saw Dracula, Vlad the Impaler, and I was like just thrilled to think that it was really a guy. There really was a Dracula.
The thing is to use the
Dracula, before becoming a vampire, he serves the church, but his belief is completely shattered and is betrayed. And reverses that and says, well, then I curse God and is damned.
I feel that Dracula is about our blood tie to the creation. We are bound sacredly to God, and that's a two-sided affair, and man can renounce God if he wishes. Blood! Oh, God. Look, all of you, it's bleeding. The cross is bleeding. My God. How many of us renounce our blood tie to the creative spirit and become Draculas, become soulless? God! This is Origins of Dracula. Like, remember in the comics, we'd have Origin of Superman, Origin of Batman. This is Origin of Dracula. Yeah. I want it to really last 400 years.
The Dracula story differs from age to age because we are influenced by our culture, by our society, by the things around us.
We think of the vampire, obviously, as being more benign nowadays. And you know, over time, the vampire has become more a tragic figure than a figure of horror.
He is unlike any man. He is mysterious and he's dangerous. He's very sexual. He's very attractive in that dangerous way.
I have tried to play him as rather like Raphael, like a fallen angel. He's torn. It's a tortured soul. I don't play him out and out as an evil kind of character. I mean, there's all that in there too. It's a delicious cocktail.
It's Dracula's song, isn't it? He always was so slow in the day. I can't wait for the night.
Working with him, I don't know Gary that well, but he reminds me of me, as I was 15, 20 years ago. And it's interesting, you know. I said to him, you're me 20 years ago.
The Gary that I know, he's a very emotional person. Maybe that comes across sometimes as being intense, but I see it more as just extremely emotional. And he has access to those emotions, so he can channel that into his work very easily.
The book is, it's pictures of my son. When I want to get to an emotional place, the book helps me get there. The pictures.
As dark as the character is, Gary has invested the character of Dracula with more than just being a monster, with more than just being something to be feared, but also something to be loved.
Mina,
I have crossed oceans of time to find you.
There are some loves that are eternal, that you take to the grave with you, you know. I believe Richard Burton on his deathbed looked up and said, "She still fascinates me." You know, I mean, this guy has been searching for 400 years.
Now, I've invested a lot of what I know and what I have experienced into this part. You want to really know what love's about, you read a Shakespeare sonnet, listen to a Frank Sinatra song. Autumn in New York is so inviting. I mean, the summer wind came blowing in from across the sea. I mean, it's just all those feelings that you feel.
You will be cursed to. You will be cursed as I am. You will be cursed as I am to walk in the shadow. Back in lines, man. You will be cursed as I am to walk in the shadow of death for all eternity. I love you too much to be.
His love and his, verve really to live in love is so great. And, ultimately he sees that as, it's love. It's only love that brings the sweet thoughts and the...
I understood this wrong. Only once. I've had a great, all-consuming, overwhelming, powerful love. And I've only really, honestly and truly, deeply sort of lost my heart only once. And I may never ever do it again. So I know what it feels like.
Stand by. Rehearsal bell.
And here we go. And suddenly we're there. London, 1897. Action.
Lucy?
Bram Van Helsing.
Dr. Van Helsing.
And your Madam Mina, dear Francois Lucy.
Sorry.
That's all right. That's good. I like that.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
And just try it again. Very delicate, very, that this is like a moment of a spell.
People have asked me, they said, what's it like working on it? I said, it's difficult to describe. I said, it's just seems to be crazy, and yet it's very creative. It's very full. It's very rich. Everything seems to be pretty close to the storyboard, because they had the storyboard man walking around there drawing these sketches. And I thought, what the hell is he doing here? Because, this is chaos. Yet it all came back, being filtered through like a computer. And that was very reassuring, because it all comes back to storyboard and discipline.
Isn't that interesting? The electronic storyboard, right? They drew the whole thing out, and then they just played out like a cartoon.
We go to Hillingham Estate during the day. Mina is running through the garden, a letter in her hand. Lucy!
Lucy! Oh.
Bram Van Helsing, charmant.
Dr. Van Helsing.
You're the beautiful Madam Mina, dear friend. Working at night, I go home and I look at the script. I stare at the page. I go over and over, and suddenly these ideas come. And I said to my next day we started rehearsing. I said, I'd like to dance with it.
Young lovers! Hey, now listen.
What do you think? Michael, what about getting like a close shot of Van Helsing when he breaks the dance? You know what I mean? When he says...
Then we shot the rehearsal according to our notes in the storyboard. Then he edited that again and looked at it and got some ideas from that.
Bram Van Helsing, charmant.
Dr. Van Helsing.
You're the beautiful Madam Mina, dear Francois Lucy, yes.
How is she, Doctor?
She's still very weak.
But she whispered to me something of your Jonathan Harker and your concern, your worry for him. Ah, well, I do worry for all young lovers.
Oh, I remember that thing. Remember that thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Try another rehearsal, please.
God help us. Dr. Van Helsing is loose. What a loony.
When you get to the set, it's all there for you. Then it all fuses together. And then it proves to you that the rehearsal was worth it. I don't really like rehearsing that much, but I'm glad we did on this because it helped me to find something for myself.
Good.
But a prolonged rehearsal for a film I find kind of tedious. I find it strangely non-productive because it changes when you get into the location or to the set.
You can't have that. You want that?
But we can't do it the way we have to do it. How can we do it? We gotta do it backwards. We gotta do the scene backwards. You wanna do the scene backwards?
No, but what you always have to encounter when you finally shoot the movie is that it's never the same than it is in rehearsal, or it's never the same than it is in a storyboard, because there's just certain things that are difficult that you can't do them.
Let Sadie try it, and she'll just pick you up and drop you. What do you think?
Just playing a
Well, we just did it a second ago, and you did it. It's just Halloween stuff. Trick or
So
treat.
then you can show your daddy and you can laugh.
We're just playing.
You saw me take my teeth out. Can you take your teeth out? I can take my teeth out.
Case, I think you better quit while you're ahead, Sadie. The more you show your teeth, though, even I'm scared. Cut.
And Margaret.
Where's the dolly? Where's mommy? Oh, and where's mommy?
Take the dolly. She's gonna talk.
Mommy went to get some juice. If you don't have a letter, then you know I'm in jail. Boom, 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 boom. Say goodbye. You don't cry. Like the dolly? So the baby is crying, and the social worker is saying, well, you can't make the baby be held by her if the baby's scared. I said, but, we have to tell the baby this is not really this, and we're into that part of life, and the time the clock is going. Just let it sink in that the corpse is coming. You don't want to look at her face like this. Chill came over the whole place.
Lucy!
Cut. That was good.
You were so good.
You have no choice but to laugh at it all and not take it too seriously, It's balance. It's about balance. And finally, it's only about making a movie. And finally, it's not that important.
I was very aware that I wanted to make a film in Hollywood for Columbia Pictures, in which they experienced total smooth sailing that was made on budget, on schedule. There's millions of dollars at stake, and there's politics.
Mina!
And, I just felt that I do have my own way of working, but it also makes a lot of sense. That's terrible. Print it. I wanted it to go very well and be very commercial and, good job. And, of course, I was anxious, wanting nothing to go wrong. Let me explain something about the script. You guys put a lot of lines in the script. That's what's in there now. So the script is of the way you wanted it. So you can review it. No.
Remember, it's all of it's okay.
You want to sit down and just read the lines? I thought you knew them.
Something about this scene. I don't know what it is. I mean, we didn't really kind of.
Well, the idea, they're all confronting you. There's a lot of tension. There's a lot of things. We made something that was like that. We've made it like that. Yeah. So now we got to play it.
I think with a given situation of a director like him and a bunch of actors, and like Gary Oldman, who's very kind of, passionate. Myself, I've always been a fighter, but now I've calmed down over the years, mellowed out a bit, I suppose. People are volatile. That's the way it is. You can't take it too seriously,
Probably, in reality, the thing is going to happen pretty fast. Yeah. You confront them, they attack you. Van Helsing challenges you, you make your last statement, and then you leave.
Yeah. Gary was not happy with the scene. Anthony Hopkins was not happy with the scene. Nobody knew quite what to do. It's because these two guys are standing there having a dialogue scene, and Gary's going crazy because they're not afraid of me.
I know that, Francis, but it's like you're saying in the last scene where we're in the bed making love and I have a bit of dialogue and then I cut my chest and you suck it, so it'll be all right on the day. I mean, I'm saying I can't just wing it. I can't just kind of come in here and wing it with it. I've got to know what we are saying to one another before I...
Well, that's what originally there were no lines like this.
Yeah.
And you're asking me sort of where is everyone going to go? And I sort of say with all the lines or without all the lines. I'm giving you a chance to kind of play all this stuff. But there's a big action thing going on. With swords and stuff, it's very hard for me to set it in that way. If you want to go back piece by piece,
it just wasn't happening. And I wanted to discuss the content of the scene. Like, this is a rehearsal. This is my time as well as yours, you know.
That scene in the church was very hard to rehearse because, it was one of those scenes where everyone runs in and, it's like if you're not in it doing it, and he's a bat and he swings and scares them. So why don't you kind of read the scene back and forth between you, see what the beats are, and when you feel comfortable with the beats you'll be able to play it. I mean, I think the problem is that I really don't feel the capability of really doing it and setting it right now.
One idea I got then at that time is go with the flow of it. And that's our lesson, something I learned on this, was to go with it. Because I'm a fighter. I want to fight. I want to punch heads in. And lately, the last couple of years, I've learned to hell with it. You just learn your lines and show up. Do what's there. And it makes life so much simpler.
The director feels that he's just basically the arbiter of the compromise. Okay, what now do I have to give up in order to get on with it? So because, but out of compromise also comes creativity.
The result of this was that Gary needed to be in some form that was terrifying to these men who had guns and crucifixes and swords, so he could keep them at bay and have this rather eloquent exchange with Van Helsing. So Francis came up with the bat suit. And now the scene works like gangbusters. They're afraid of Gary.
To be able to do this job in the first place, you've got to have a bit of an ego to be able to do it, Whether you're in a movie or whether you stand on a stage and say, look at me, I'm interesting. I mean, that takes a lot of ego, And Francis has one the size of San Francisco. And I've got a pretty big one too. And I think it's a good, I think it's a good thing to see that energy gave me great hope. Because you go, ooh, that's the guy that made Apocalypse Now. That's the guy that made The Godfather,
Cut. Good. Once again. You're stepping off the cliff, when you start to make a film, you know it. It's all part of the creative experience, it all kind of is the soup. And then the soup is done, all the ingredients were really part of it.
I love you.
And when you get it, it's really the act of creation. Because you didn't really create it, you presided over it, which is the way we create. And it's thrilling for that reason. Good.
It's a wrap.
And, he will return in the shape of me.